The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome back to another episode of the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg. As always, I'm here with the outstanding, amazing, incredible Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, it is an absolutely beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. I am excited to jump into another episode, the 15-Point Plan podcast. It comes out every week. And for those of you that are just new maybe to this 15-Point Plan, it's just a system. It's a way that we can do these simple little things like hydrate ourselves, like move our body, like take some time to journal or meditate to center ourselves. And it's a system that will allow us to perform at maximum energy and the least amount of stress. And one of the points on this system, Jacqueline, is this idea of influences, right?
It is. And before we go there, I just have to say, you always make me feel bad when you do the intro because I feel like you say all these nice things about me. And then I'm just like, hey, I'm here with Ryan.
Well,
so I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna give you like a whole bunch of compliments next time.
Well, that's a great segue, Jacqueline, because you said are you going to work on it or are you just going to do it?
No, I'm going to do it.
and the reason I say that to our listeners is because there's this really, really, really important part of the 15-Point Plan of the things that influence us. And both Jacqueline and myself often think, well, what that means is what we listen to or what we watch or what we read. And all of those things are important. The things that we read, the books that we read, the podcasts we listen to, the people that we surround ourselves with. But sometimes it's super easy to forget that probably the most influential person in our lives is ourselves. And the most powerful words that we're going to hear are the words that we tell ourselves, right?
I mean, yeah. We spend more time with ourselves in our head, I think, than we do probably with any other person. And your internal dialogue or your internal language, however you want to call it, it's either like it is training you one way or another, right? Or it's draining you, or it's like reinforcing patterns and beliefs. And they're either helping you or they're holding you back.
Yeah, 100%. So today we're talking about the influence category of the 15-Point Plan, but really specifically the words that we use, because we really do know how much our words matter, and how we say things, not only to other people. For example, Jacqueline said, I'm going to work on giving you compliments. Well, that those words matter. She could say she's going to work on it, but if she says, I'll work on it, what if she just said, Ryan, I'm going to give you compliments? Then we hear that. We know that it's more concrete. And I think that's important for how we say things, again, not only to our people, but to ourselves. Like if I woke up in the morning and say, I'm going to try not to sleep in today, it's almost like I'm letting myself off the hook, aren't I?
Yeah. And this morning, that's kind of what happened to me. I'm an accountability partner with someone, and they texted me, I did my thing today that I was supposed to do. And I was like, shoot, I'm like out of the office this morning. I got a whole bunch of meetings this afternoon. I'm going to try and get it in though. And he was like, you're going to try? And he's like, what would you say if someone you were coaching said that to you? I would say either admit to yourself that you're not going to do it or commit to doing it. Like there's no try, And I'm reading.
Sorry, I just have to interject because I don't know any other Star Wars quotes. I don't know much about Star Wars, but anytime I hear the word try, I think of Yoda.
Yeah.
Because the only quote I know from Star Wars is do or do not. There is no try.
'Tis true.
Right?
I like Yoda. He's a good dude.
I kind of feel like Yoda right now, Jacqueline, because
you do?
I'm sitting in this room and the sun is like beaming in, and I don't know if you can see my screen, but I have like this, like I know I'm naturally just a glowing individual, but like I have this glow around me and I feel super podcast intellectual right now. So
Oh, good. Let's hear some of your wisdom, because yeah, it looks like you're like in heaven or something up
I
there.
think
I
and it's
mean,
funny.
Bellingham is pretty close to heaven, I must say.
It is. It is. Okay. Jokes aside, what we say and how we say matters. A good example of this was the other day. I was on a run, and I think I was at mile 17. And my buddy looked at me. He's like, "How you doing, dude?" And my leg hurt so bad. My ankle hurt so bad. And what I had been telling myself for a few miles was just this mantra of, "We don't get tired. We don't give up." And I told him that, and he looked at me like, because I was like limping basically. He's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Matt, we don't get tired and we don't give up." He's like, "All right, dude." I mean, because what are you going to do? I could sit there and be like, "Yeah, dude, my leg really hurts, but I have 4 miles to get out of these woods. There's no way I can just stop and like have them carry me." So I just
Mhm.
kept repeating that mantra and those words, and that was what really got me out of the woods that day. So our words do matter, right, Jacqueline?
Oh, totally, because, I know a little bit about this, like, I'm not, uh I'm not, like, in heaven like Ryan is with all the
Mhm.
wisdom today, but I know that our language does impact our nervous system, and I'm reading this book right now. It's called Big Trust, and it's essentially about self-doubt and the doubting mind, and I'm not I just started it, so I'm just a few chapters in right now, and in the chapter I just finished, she was talking about, how, like, we do reinforce things. So, for example, like, if I say, "Oh, I'm not good at public speaking,"
Mm.
um, is that, like, factually true? Like, you actually did it a whole bunch of times and you're just, like, horrible at it? Or is it actually that you haven't done it very much and you feel uncomfortable with it? And not only that, but are you actually learning to improve your public speaking? Perhaps that would be like a more constructive way to phrase it, as opposed to I'm not good at public speaking. So just like being super aware of how our words are, they're not neutral, like nothing's neutral. And so if you are saying things like, "Oh, I'm exhausted," like, "Oh, this is so crazy."
Yeah.
Unless you're saying like, "This is crazy good," or "crazy cool," then that's good. But like, "This is crazy," or, "Oh, I'm so busy all the time. I never have time. I have to. I can't. I'm bad at," like, all of these statements are limiting, and they're lowering your energy and draining you every time you say it.
It's so true. One thing that you can do or try to remind yourself of is just add the word yet at the end of any of those sentences. I'm not good at public speaking yet. I'm not a fast runner yet. And that way you have some intention behind it. And that means, hey, I want to get better at public speaking. I want to become a faster runner.
Mhm.
And putting some emphasis on the fact that you can do it. It just hasn't happened yet. And
Yeah.
I think that's powerful. And I can be so hard on myself, Jacqueline. I think this is a really good topic because, like, I don't know if any of our listeners have ever done something and you get in your head and you say something like, "God, Ryan, you're such an idiot," or like, "God, Ryan, that was so dumb." I have
Mhm.
to remind myself, why would I talk to myself in a way that I would never talk to anybody else? Like that I would
Yeah.
never talk to my best friend
Mhm.
or
Or
or my
your kid.
son or my
Yeah.
son, right? Or like our kids. So like, why are we talking to ourselves? Why are we okay or allowing words to be
Mhm.
used in our brain and sometimes many times that we would never dare say to somebody else?
Yeah. It's true. We're so mean to ourselves.
So how do we
Um,
combat that though, Jacqueline? Like,
well,
it sounds easy, like, okay, just don't say that. But I guess the question or where we go from there is, why do we even do that? What are we doing, or how do we combat those words because we know they're going to come? So how do we stay ahead of it?
first, you can't change anything that you're not aware of. So, remember, we did an episode recently on emotional intelligence, and the foundation of all emotional intelligence is emotional awareness. And so, there's got to be practices in your life that help you be aware and present, because there's so many distractions these days that it's too easy, and we're all in the habit of just like barreling through life, and we're just not present all the time. And so I've shared this in a past episode. I do have a practice. I haven't been really great consistently doing it right now, but I did do this my first couple years in real estate, because man, those were tough years for me. And I was really consistent with it then. And it was that I would write down my thoughts on the left-hand side of my journal page every morning. And then on the right-hand side, I would go through and I would write a positive truth. And another way you could do this is just notice like the first 10 things you say every day. So I don't know, maybe write it in your notes app on your phone or something like that. But just notice, like, what do you say when people say, how are you? What do you say? What are the things that you're thinking and saying to other people? And then replace the language with something that reflects the autonomy, choice, and direction that we actually do have in reality. And I know a lot of people think like, oh, this is just like more of that toxic positivity. But I don't think it's toxic positivity myself. I think it's actually being like precise and speaking like what's true, because a lot of those mean things that we say to ourselves, they're actually not true.
Yeah.
So if you think that thinking the positive thing is the toxic positivity, I think that's kind of weird, because you're actually in toxic negativity and it's not even true. So if you're going to be toxic one way or the other, why not go with the positive way? Toxic, positive, right?
That's so true. And I mean, I gotta ask, like, for those that think, oh, that's those two words don't belong together. Toxic positivity.
Mhm.
Like, what's wrong with being positive? And what I'm hearing you say is like, how can we reframe this? How can we
Mhm.
turn this into a positive? How can we turn this into seeking a solution?
Yeah.
And how can we break these patterns? Because these are probably things that we've told ourselves for a long time. And
Yeah.
they're like on repeat, right?
Mhm.
They're on these repeat of things. And so, like you said, first and foremost, acknowledging and being aware of what we're saying and how we're saying, and then stopping that pattern, breaking that pattern, and asking yourself, how can I turn this into a positive?
So when Phil and I, years ago, we went to a therapist, and she's amazing. I recommend her to everyone. And we call her like our angel, because she really saved our marriage. And one of the really simple examples that we used in our sessions to practice was the age old argument: Phil's always hot, I'm always cold. Okay. So like for him, he can't just be like, yeah, I agree, it's cold. And I can't be like, yeah, it's so hot when I'm like freezing. So
Hmm.
she's like, you don't have to like lie to validate someone, including yourself. So like for example, instead of saying, when I say, "Oh my gosh, I'm freezing," and he says, "Oh, how can you be freezing? It's so hot in here." He could say, "Oh man, you're cold. Do you want me to get you a blanket?"
Right. Good
Like
point.
he didn't like agree. He didn't even have to agree or disagree with what I said.
Right.
And we can do that sort of thing with ourselves. Like one example is like, I'm so exhausted. Well, you're obviously not going to say, I'm not exhausted if you truly are feeling exhausted.
Right.
But can you shift it from like, I'm exhausted to, I need recovery or I need some rest? Like,
Yeah,
see
it's a
how
good point.
that's
And
not, it's not like ignoring yourself.
no, no, right. Or ignoring your significant other. And then it's also taking it off you. It's like if you said, I'm cold, and Phil said, oh, how can you be cold? I'm so hot. He just made it about you. But if he says, oh, you're cold, would you like a blanket? Then you feel, oh, my guy's got me.
Yeah.
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 So that's a great way to reframe it is again coming up with a solution. Oh, you're cold? Let's get you a blanket.
Yeah.
I don't need a blanket, but that doesn't really matter because I'll get you a blanket. Um, Yeah, that's a really good point and a good example. And just having the reminder of the fact that influences don't just come in the exterior or outside external world. They are
Mhm.
constantly in our head. They are constantly happening. And I think it's also good to realize they're probably more likely to happen when we're in the rut, as Ben would say, of being
Mhm.
in the rut because, well, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, and now I'm really talking poorly to myself. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute. How could I how can I get out of that? Get myself a snack, get myself some fresh air, get some quick steps in. Now I probably feel good. Now I just won 3 things real quick, and now I'm probably gonna tell myself, "Ryan, you're a winner. You're not
Mhm.
all those negative things that you were saying."
Yeah, they say that, like, you can have 2 people that are living a very similar schedule to each other, and the difference in energy levels between the 2 people, it's actually in how they're talking to themselves.
Oh,
Like,
big time.
there's been these studies. And so it's probably like you started out saying when we started this episode, like, it's the biggest influence I think that we have because you can be around all sorts of positive people, listen to great podcasts, be inspired, but if you're just walking around talking trash to yourself all the time, right? That's gonna be you're gonna be exhausted just from that because you're just constantly tearing yourself down. Um, and so I think, like, we can help each other with our word choices, like, we do that a lot around our office,
Yeah,
just we have kind of a culture and a language and we catch each other and in a good way, right? Like, because we know that language is so important. And so, you can do this at home with your kids, you could have, like, a fast from, like, "I can't," right? And
mhm.
teach our kids, going back to the last episode when we talked about EQ for kids, it's like teaching our kids how to be aware of our language, and then trust me, if you do that, they're gonna catch you.
Yeah,
And
it's so
that's like a
true.
great accountability partner, so.
It's so true. It's so true. So just a reminder, speak positively to yourself, right? Toxically positive. I would so much rather be in a positive state more of the time. So talk positive to yourself. You're more likely to
Mhm,
talk positive to those around you. Get out of those patterns of staying negative and look for the solution and everything and reframe that. Be aware of what you're saying to yourself, and you'll probably feel a lot better. And it kind of makes the rest of the day even easier when you tell yourself positive things. So remember, influences don't just come from those around you, those podcasts, those books,
mhm.
those stories that you're reading. They come from your head. So let's make sure that when we're telling ourselves something, it's something positive, and and believe in who we are and what we do. And don't forget to check the past episodes. Go to winmakegive.com. There's a whole couple years worth of 15-point plan, 15 to 20-minute bursts like this. Share them with somebody. If you heard like
Mhm.
something like this and you think, hey, this person might like it, share it with them and then tag us on Instagram or Facebook or social media. Ryan Park Greigg and Jacqueline Ray Smith.
Thanks, everyone. And wait, really quick, if you want the book that I talked about, it's called Big Trust by Dr. Sade. I cannot pronounce the last name. Zahrai. It's really good so far. So we'll keep you updated. Everyone, have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.